today we're going to work on propagating some aloe, which we have already done successfully in 2 other spots here. So the smaller aloe and this one over here. We actually pulled from this mother plant. So the way that we're going to need to do it, let's see which side is probably best. The one that has some of the arms, the lowest, is generally the best to pull off from, because you're going to need to pull them off from the underside to try to get as much of the root as possible. So usually you can kind of just feel around. I think in the back is probably the best bet too. So I'm just going to come around this side and pull some of these away to expose as much of the bottom of the aloe plant as possible. Do that. Actually, you can see some new growth. This, I believe, is, if you can see down in there, is where I took off the pieces of aloe for the ones that I propagated before. So you can see how they're a little bit shorter. So I'm not going to pull those ones off, but I am going to reach around maybe and grab these ones back here. Those are bigger. And again, I'll try to reach down as low as possible, get a little bit into the dirt to see if you can pull up some of the root with it when you're removing it. All right, so I've got a fairly good section here. I want to pull all of the ones that are together so that way you can maintain as much of the root really as possible. So again, by going along the back here and along the side, I was able to pull up a really good section, and you can see how well rooted this one actually is. So this, while I'll have to put it in a fairly deep planter, is a really good section, and that should start growing immediately. I also did pull off, just so we can see the difference in growth, I'll plant them in 2 separate sections, a smaller one with as much of the root as I could get off there, but obviously it's not intact as this one is. So we're going to see the differences in growth from one that's already rooted and from one that is not. So we're going to go ahead and plant those. So we are going to pot up our 2 pieces of aloe that we have. The first one with the long root. So I picked this big pot because I wanted to make sure that the root fit in nicely. Filled it with cactus soil. Any well-draining soil is good. Make sure that there's hole at the bottom of the pot. I can also plant these outside. I'm in zone 10B, so aloe grows really well outside here, but I do like to keep them in pots after I take the offshoots from the mother plants, just to keep a better eye on them, monitor them a little bit better before I put them in their new homes outside. So yeah, so these will stay in this pot until they get a better root system, and then I'll probably transfer them to the yard. So this one, just adding a little more cactus soil. I could probably have filled it up a little bit higher, but it should be fine like this. And then we're going to put the one without the root right into the soil also. It's calloused over at this point, so it should be able to grow a root there on its own. So we're just going to pop that into the soil. Same thing, keep an eye on it. So that's going in here, adding in some more soil and just making sure it's tucked in. Generally my aloe, if it's out in the yard, it has full sun or partial sun throughout the day, but when I take pups, I try to keep them in more shaded areas, so that way they don't burn out, especially those when I'm trying to get them to focus on making roots. I don't want them to be stressed out too much in the sun. So I'm going to try to put these in a place where they're only getting partial sun. And here we have our 2 aloe pups, one with the roots and one without. So we will check on them over time to see how they grow. Here is my helper. And what are you doing, Alessia?
Watering the plants.
Okay. Making sure that they get watered. We'll probably water these every couple of days. We'll wait till the soil gets completely dry and then water it. So we are 1 month later, and I wanted to do a root growth update for this small one that you can see has begun growing some roots straight out to the side, but some good healthy root growth on that one, so we know that it will be a successful plant. And we're going to pop that back in there, and you can see that the growth on the other one looks really good. So I will still wait longer until the smaller one develops larger roots to move them outside, but they will stay here for now.